I want to make a comment on a distinction between um, people. There are some people in the world who have an ideal for reasoning over an ideal for a reason. And so, in other words, they have secure reasoning because that's what they're seeking, but they have an insecure reason. I'm the opposite of that. I have a secure reason, but I don't always have secure reasoning because I have a secure reason. Um, so sometimes I can, really just get on some people's nerves because I will, um, I will be holding on to a position that aligns to my secure reason. Um, whereas um, people who prefer secure reasoning, these people, um, bless their hearts of goodness and souls and spirits and all that. These people, they they really don't like when you know somebody isn't considering what another person is saying um, in the context of in the context of objective uh, perception. So I'll get some detractors as a result of that, and also as a result of um, you know the uh, the fact that I just don't really care if I'm boring or not. Um, but to go back and talk about ideals as it pertains to reasoning versus ideals as it pertains to a reason. The reason I prefer the latter, though it is my natural inclination, I do actually prefer it consciously, aware of it. I do prefer to have a secure reason over secure reasoning. The number one reason for that is that I do not want fusion uh, in the place of an ideal for unity. And so often what I see happening with people who, have an ideal for reasoning over an ideal for reason, they are so diligently, you know, you know, playing the critic of reasoning that they don't foresee that, they're not their efforts, shall we say, are not leading towards unity of people, but they're leading towards fusion. In other words, hive-mindedness, and this is evident, all over if you can abstract what I'm saying and connect it. And you see, like I do not like uh, I do not like the idea of us all having a hive mind. I don't think that's good. And if my taking the position of preferring to have a secure reason over secure reasoning means that I'm more so boring, I'm sorry, that I'm more boring than the next person. Well, okay, fine, I'll take that knock because you know what You know what the outcome of everybody having an ideal for secure reasoning leads to? It leads to the whole world being boring. You know, it leads to lack of creativity because it leads to lack of independent belief, independent um, thoughts that can be voiced. You know, we'll always have independent thoughts that we can think in our heads, but you know, will we always have independent thoughts that we can utter without, you know, somebody getting offended enough to do something or rally something into affecting you that is, let's just say, not welcome? I don't know. Well, I have a guess that the more communities, society, the more people in mass congregation delude themselves into fusion instead of unity, the more likely it is that you're gonna, you know, start to see an increase in, you know, the pseudo prudence that leads to stuff like cancel culture and you know, and that sort of the ideologies revolved around that issue. But anyway, yeah, so that is why I prefer the ideal of the reason over the ideal of the reasoning. I prefer someone to have a good reason, you know, that they can defend than to have good reasoning that they can defend. And I'm not going to budge from that position, no matter, you know, how boring I come across or if it annoys people who are, you know, different from me. I mean, I look at, you know, the effect of the increase in popularity of atheism, and you know, I just think that it really does a disservice to what I think would be the ideal reason for atheists, self-proclaimed atheists. I think the popularity of atheism really does a disservice to them because, you know, it's just like any distinguishing outfit that is pronounced will sort of make one an obvious dilution into the current of their world, and they'll be seen and treated as an oddity, and you know, at best an amusement, at worst a disturbance. And I think that even though, you know, sometimes you got to fight the power, I think that it's counterintuitive, you know, to be so adamant on secure reasoning that you annihilate, we could say, any chance for there to, you know, be mutually established a secure reason. So in other words, you know, similar standards. I think I think that the people who rail against atheism, though, you know, many of them rail against it in, you know, unkind and demeaning ways. I think I think there's some force to, you know, actually being against, you know, I think there's some force to, I should say, voicing issue with atheism. I think, you know, there's some force for good voicing issue with atheism. I think it can be defended on, you know, on the basis of a secure reason. And I don't think atheists have a leg to stand on, you know, with whatever arguments, you know, they could derive to 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 oppose what I'm saying. I think that there needs to be, you know, there needs to be a voice. There always needs to be a voice for a secure reason. There always needs to be a conservative voice in the room. This is what you know, keeps the order. And maybe people, you know, maybe people who are you know, affected personally by, you know, some of the tendril morons that like to think of themselves as conservative. You know, maybe some people who are personally affected by those morons, they want to just do away with any conservatism whatsoever. But that is a very stupid thing to be for, you know. You need somebody who's willing to not move quite so easily as the rest of society. It's you know, or, you know, we could even look at this in the micro, you know, like if you're in a couple, you know, with somebody, do you want that person to be as impulsive as you are with all the dumb things that you likely do? No, I don't think so. I think that you would prefer that person be somewhat more cautious than you concerning the things where you go off the edge. It's just, you know, it just makes sense that that would be preferable. Anyway, yeah, this video has been about the ideal of the reasoning versus the ideal of the reason, and you know, I talked a bit about atheists and how, you know, what you know, how they are you know, really, you know, being counterintuitive to what I suspect many of them would you know, would like to see in their, you know, in their world, in their lifetime. Yeah. You know, and what is that? What is that? I should say, what is that that many of them would like to see? I think it is a world where they can trust somebody. And, you know, I just don't think you can trust anybody if, you know, there is no secure reason, if there is no conservative aspects to anybody, then, you know, like, trust is, you know, it falls to its death then. Anyway, have a good day. Peace. Meow.